Well, this channel has been for a long time mainly political, socio-political, in a way, geopolitical, whatever we call it, let's say. But that consciousness is only human, only human, only human beings can do that. Real nature is free of any identity. You understand what I'm saying? For example, my Eritrean identity is connected with my flesh. It's not eternal. It's not eternal. For me, to make it universal, to get it out of its very close circumference. You understand what I'm saying? To universalize it, I gotta get out of that identity and make it spiritual identity in a way. I'd rather be spiritual Eritrean. Then that I can take, that identity I can take. But Eritrea as such, materialistic identity, I have denied it. I'm no more materialistic Eritreans. My dear Eritreans, I'm telling you, I'm not materialist Eritrean any longer. I like to be spiritual Eritrean because that way I can connect with my universal nature. You understand what I'm saying? With anybody in the world, any nature, any animal, for that matter. Forget human beings. I found this introduction. For an introduction, I found this one very good. So please let's see what this guy is talking about. From that, you can understand what I'm talking about. Life without identity. I have no identity any longer. Listen, you understand what I'm saying? I am just am. That's it. I am without identity.
As you explore this teaching deeper and deeper, you must become very comfortable not knowing who you are, not knowing what you are. You must become very comfortable with not attributing any name or shape or idea to what you are, not mixing yourself with something, some idea, some identity.
Well, the only problem here, he's trying to teach that a person is a person only when connected to some kind of material identity. Otherwise, nature has no identity, any kind of identity. You understand what I'm saying? Only spiritual identity. So I don't think you can understand this concept without really getting deeper, deeper, deeper into that philosophy. So it's not a matter of being ready or not. You cannot just be ready to reject your identity altogether. You understand what I'm saying? It's something that you develop in time. If you really like it, but first you have to accept the philosophy, and then you keep going into it. There are developmental stages that you got to go through, progressive steps ahead of your life. You got to do your homework to achieve something. You cannot just lose your identity, ladies and gentlemen. But can you lose your identity as such? Yes, definitely. How long does it take? Through the process we're going to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, from now on, my life is about philosophy. My life is about my philosophy, the universal philosophy. There is no politics anymore. There is no personification, no personal life, no titles, nothing. Identity. Can you live without identity? This is not some kind of choice that you can do. This is something he developed into through certain mental process.
Right? You must become comfortable living without identity, being a nobody.
Well, I don't think anybody can be comfortable doing that because you gotta have the capacity to do that. So it's not really a matter of choice. It's something that you develop it.
Why do I say that? It's because the self is not an object. The self is not an object that is changeful, that it arises and subsides in consciousness. the question, who am I? What is this me that perceives, that is aware of my thoughts, my emotions, my experience changing? These questions don't actually have an answer. They don't lead to a destination. They don't lead to an object that you can say, oh, that is what I am. These questions leave you in an emptiness of content.
Well, listen, gentlemen, let me try to explain what he's saying. For example, I am this or I am that. Well, let's talk about from the framework of specific directions. For example, I can say I am an Eritrean. But Eritrea is a country. Then what? Being an Eritrean doesn't complete my life. Okay, I am an engineer. Being an engineer is studying something and becoming a professional. It's a professionalism. Engineering is professionalism. Then what? You see, it leaves you with some kind of emptiness. It's not complete. It doesn't answer the objective of you being as such. When you answer, you cannot say, I am an Eritrean and stop there, man. I cannot say, I am an engineer and stop there. Identity, because I'm not engineering. I'm not a country called Eritrea. Well, my name is Fetsum Abraham, and then that is my name. My name. I am that. I am Fetsum Abraham. Jesus Christ. I'm not a name. You understand? The philosophy is deeper than that. I got money. I'm rich, but you're not really money as such. You can say, I got money, but saying I'm rich, you're talking about your material wealth, but you're not. You're a natural force, a natural spirit. He's talking about that, but you cannot choose to do that, though, man. You can articulate it in the mind, but if your consciousness is not ready to answer, a lot of cautious before you get there, you're not going to grasp it. But it's a good beginning.
An emptiness of focus. It brings you to the subject, but the subject is not a shape, it is not a name, it is not full of content, it is inherently free of all qualities. Therefore, it cannot be grasped, it cannot be clinged onto, it cannot be added onto. And here lies the fault of many people in this path, where they believe the self to be an object to be arrived at, right? A destination, a thing to be grasped and held onto.
It's a very complicated process. That's why a lot of depth, a lot of thinking has to be has to be present in here to be answered. A lot of questions have to be answered. When I say I am this, what am I talking about? For example, when I say I'm an Eritrean. Now, go a little bit deeper and say my life is Eritrean. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is it true? Can life be destined or identified by something that passes? You understand? I am an engineer. Is my life an engineer really? Or do I have another life? Not another life, actually. There is only one life, one universal life. Life is everlasting. Identity dies. You understand? Identity dies. When the body dies, what is life, first of all? Why do we identify with something? That passes. When we know that we also die. For example, my name is going to die with me. It's just a name that my parents gave me. How can my life be my name? My nationality, my identity is going to die with me. So how can my life be my identity? How can my life be my nationality? How can my life identify with my nationality? How can my life identify with my name? How can it identify with my religion? Because how much time do I have to identify with it anyway? What is life? How long is life? When did my life start and when does it end? Is it continuous? See all these questions. Attention. When I say I'm an Eritrean, I'm talking about being an Eritrean for this life. At least we gotta know, because that's not everlasting. As long as you're destined to be Eritrean as such, or a German, or whatever, you gotta serve your society spiritually. I understand it. But how can you separate identity, national identity, from universal identity? Do you understand what I'm saying? What he's trying to say is, when you say I am that, who is the one that is saying it? You see, that's exactly what he has to explain. We will come there and we will see how far he goes, and I will put a little bit into it and then put it together, ladies and gentlemen.
Whereas each time you actually inquire into what you really are, it leaves you in an identityless, almost like space, with no qualities, no content. And this is what the mind resists, right? Because the mind needs constant stimulation. It seeks the constant activity. That is what restlessness is. That is the same restlessness that disturbs the peace, which is the emptiness of content, which is what you essentially are.
Well, where does that disturbance come from? If you try to be something that you're not, you understand, you're going to be disturbed, of course, because you are going to do things that you're not, or you're not capable of doing with your natural self. You understand what I'm saying? If a cat wants to be a cat, the cat has to stay being a cat. If the cat wants to pretend like a dog, then if the cat thinks that it's a dog, it will act like the dogs. Then the problem comes into that. The identity doesn't go with the dog, because the cat remains to be a cat. There is no cat that can be a dog, but human beings think too much. You understand? When I think I'm an Eritrean, I feel like I have become Eritrea, the country itself. Life has become only Eritrea, you understand? When I say I'm an engineer, yo, man, I have become my profession. I have made my life a profession. When I say I am Fatsum Abraham, I'm just confining my life within my name. But all these identities are going to die. You understand? When I connect my life with my material situation, with my wealth, with my knowledge, with my looks, all of this go step by step. They get old. You understand? They pass. Everything passes in this material life, but life doesn't pass, you see. So we have to differentiate what life is exactly from what ego is in this situation. Who identifies? You see, we have ego and then we have life. Pure life doesn't know any ego at all. The egoistic life is the one that identifies. The egoistic life is that needs that Eritrean identity, that needs that engineering identity, that needs a philosopher's identity, whatever it is, that needs a complexion identity like I am black, I am white, or whatever, that needs a religious identity like I'm a Christian or a Muslim or Buddhist or Jews or Judaist or whatever. You understand? It's all an identity of the flesh. It's all an identity of the ego. Ego is exclusively for the flesh, while life remains to be free of ego. You understand what I'm saying? When all these identities go away, life stays by itself. It wouldn't say I am an engineer. It wouldn't say I am an Eritrean. It wouldn't say I am a black man. It wouldn't say I am an African. I am this or that. It only says I am. I said I am. What does it mean? I am universal. I am everything. I don't have a specific identity connected only to my flesh because I am life. That's what you say. Now, the problem is, how then do you really function as a human being? How do you function as a human being? How can you support your society if you don't identify with it? How can I support the Eritrean people? How can I relate to the Eritrean people if I don't identify with that Eritreanness? We will get into it next time. But there is one way to do it for me. I leave the materialistic Eritrean aside and I replace it with spiritual Eritreanism. Once I do that, I'm still universal. You understand? Because spirituality connects all of us. Spirituality is a common ingredient for all human mind. Spirituality is the connection point of our relationships. Spirituality is the common denominator of all religions. Therefore, we meet at that spiritual point of the philosophy. I'm talking about life. If I say I am a spiritual Eritrean, I'm talking about I'm a spiritual nature, not a human being. That can be connected with all pure nature around the world. You understand what I'm saying? By being a spiritual Eritrean, I connect with the entire universe. I identify with the universe as such. It doesn't deny me my universal identification. My being universal Eritrean or spiritual Eritrean cannot deny me my spiritual mind. Cannot deny me my universality. You understand what I'm saying? I'm still universal. I'm still connected with the universe because universalism is about connection with every human being that needs help, assistance, love, attention, peace. The Eritrean people need that. The Koreans need that. The Somalians need that. The Sudanese need that. The Ethiopians need that. So, being an Eritrean spiritually means helping the human race, no matter where. It may be, you understand? It can be anywhere. But Eritrea has become a good environment for me to help, to assist as a spiritual Eritrean, not as materialistic Eritrean. That way, I deny the materialistic aspect of my Eritreanism completely, with all material objects in this world. And then I stand with my universal identity, spiritual identity, by being Eritrean spiritual, by reflecting Eritrean spirituality. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not only confined with Eritrea. That spiritual mind has connected. It has become a bridge to the universe. So I still remain a universal, not human being, a universal creature. To do that, though, I have to destroy my ego, because ego is the one that identifies me with anything. Ego is that calls me that I am an Eritrean. My ego is that the one, the object, whatever it is, satanic influence that says I am this or that. I am a black man. I am a white man. I am a Nigerian. I'm an Eritrean. You understand? Ego objectivizes life, but life is not an object. It's not a subject either. Nobody can define it. Life cannot be defined by specific ego's desires. You understand? I am. when you say that, universal, you're not saying a black man, an Eritrean, a Nigerian, I'm an African, I'm a white man, I'm an engineer, I'm a feminine, I'm a feminist, whatever it is. You understand what I'm saying? Masculinist, Democrat, ah, whatever, I'm a freedom fighter. No identity, universal identity. So my life does not identify with any person, does not identify with any group, with any political system, just with life only. And by being that, I have declared to be a spiritualist Eritrean. So a spiritual Eritrean, a person that identifies in terms of spirituality in view of the Eritreans. That way I can keep my universal identity. Ladies and gentlemen, politics has died in my life. Everything has died. Material life, no, it's gone. Wealth, I don't care about it. Names, titles, everything that my ego identifies with has been buried. You understand? But life stands as itself, alone, naked. This is what the person was trying to tell. This is what he was teaching. But in his teaching, I feel like something was missing. You understand? For example, hatred doesn't exist by itself. Some kind of mind originates it and directs it to somebody. Of course, it needs a receiver to be felt by another body. That's what I'm saying. Can an emotion exist by itself? By itself? Without an owner? I don't think so. Because the owner that produces that emotion, or the cause of that emotion by itself, the cause and effect of that emotion is ego, not life. Do you understand what I'm saying? So emotions cannot arise like that. Anger cannot arise without comparison. Anger cannot agitate a human being without some kind of personification. Something comes between people, and one of them personifies, individualizes. So, I am angry because, hey man, he hurt my feeling. He touched me. He did this and that. But look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Who is complaining? Is that your life or your ego? Because life and ego travel all the way together. It's just like your shadow in the daytime. You understand? It follows. Ego is always with life. And ego requires attention. Ego requires what? It requires names, okay? Prestige, comparison, wants to be better than the other. Ego wants to reflect individualism, to reflect greed, to reflect enmity, to reflect grudges. I am this, I am that, I am rich, I am an engineer, I am an Eritrean, this and that. Your man, you can identify with yourself strictly with nature without another identification produced in your mind because of ego. If you crush your ego, you have no identity. You become naked. You relate with whatever you want. In my case, with the Eritreans, for example, spiritual. That's without trying to do this and that, without becoming an order or a request, whatever way it is. Like, I'm not Eritrean, this has to be done. This I used to think that I could change the Eritrean situation peacefully, maybe still. But I don't request anything less than your man because I have no Eritrean identity from materialistic point of view. I love the Eritrean cause. I will fight. Fight meaning spiritually and peacefully for the people's benefit. But I'm not political. I'm not here to argue about what it is. I'm not here to be classified in this group or in that group. Ladies and gentlemen, I am free. of my identities, my materialistic identities. So do not expect me to be an Eritrean, emotional Eritrean anymore. It served its purpose. I became that consciously until the Eritrean sovereignhood, uh, nationhood is preserved, and thanks to the government, thanks to the people, thanks to Tsundo, a good philosophy, things have actually gotten to that point. Tsundo is, ladies and gentlemen, a peaceful movement in East Africa, very peaceful movement that originated in the North Ethiopia region, in Tigray, and in Eritrea. So these kind of philosophies are very peaceful for me. And I accept it. I follow bird. I don't identify with any group thing, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm a universal human being. Far as this comes to, as long as it's peaceful, as long as it's just striving to change the situation, the wounded societies, amalgamating them mentally, synchronize them by heart, then of course I'm part of that. That doesn't deny me my universal identity, ladies and gentlemen. But I don't believe in membership in any kind of thing anymore. I'm a member of the human race, not the human race, the universe. The universe, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a creature. I don't believe I'm a human being. So I'll let you go with this. I love you so much. Please subscribe. My direction has gone, ladies and gentlemen, from political to this kind of thing, to spirituality. My call is for human peace, tranquility, compassion, kindness, unconditional love, no matter wherever you are. Talk about, you know, peace and love and all these goodies. Everybody, every human being needs it. The person in Vietnam needs it, in Cambodia, in Africa. Give it to them. Give it to them and take it. And do not limit yourself within specific identity. I don't know if you want to do it, you can, but I'm talking about myself right now. Okay? But this kind of freedom doesn't come simultaneously, I mean, instantaneously. It doesn't come instantaneously because you want it. Because a lot of people, hey, can say what they want, but they cannot be. It requires honest relationship with nature from the heart. It requires serious commitment to destroy the ego that denies humans their lives. You understand what I'm saying? Serious understanding of what ego does to your life. How much toxicity it brings to your life. Once you understand that, then you can take a lot of steps. And we can discuss those kind of steps, ladies and gentlemen. We can make this interactive. If you like it, please let me know. Oh, this is for everybody. Ma'akalawit means centrism. Let's look at it from the central point of view of duality. Everything will be good. Everything will be good. I love you so much. Take good care of yourself.